My name is Maggie. I am 32 years old and it has been 10 years since my marriage. And on the night of my 10th anniversary, I discovered something that broke my world, something that tore apart the illusion I had lived in, something that made me realize that the man I had trusted with my life was not the man I thought he was. That evening, the house was alive with joy. The garden was glowing with golden lights, laughter filled the air, music played softly, and our friends raised their glasses to celebrate our life together. My husband, Len, stood at the center, his smile bright, his eyes warm, his hand lifting a glass of champagne as if he were the happiest man in the world. And as I watched him, my heart whispered, I am lucky, I am blessed, I have everything I could ask for, a loving husband, 2 sons who bring joy, vacations, diamonds, a beautiful home, a life many women dream of. But illusions are fragile, and sometimes they shatter in silence. Because when I went upstairs to fetch the small gift I had hidden for Len, I stumbled upon something that froze my breath. In the back of our closet, under an old stack of blankets, there was a small wooden box. It was not large, but something about the way it was tucked away pulled at my curiosity. I opened it, and inside were photographs, faces of women, strangers, their expressions empty, their skin pale, their eyes hollow, as though life had left them. I felt my hands tremble, my throat dry. These were not simple photos. Something about them screamed wrong, something dark, something I could not explain. I closed the box quickly, but the silence in that room grew heavy, and that was the first moment my intuition began to whisper. I walked down the stairs, my heart beating too loudly in my chest, my eyes searching the crowd until they found Len. He was standing tall, his face glowing with joy, his laughter echoing, his glass raised high as he toasted with friends. And in that moment, as I looked at his face, as I studied his smile, as I heard the warmth in his voice, a question grew inside me like fire. Is this man hiding something from me? My intuition screamed louder, and it would not let me rest. It told me something was very wrong. Something was deeply, gravely wrong. I tried to silence it. I told myself, no, you are imagining things. You are overthinking. But intuition has a way of crawling into your bones, of shaking you from the inside, of making you feel a coldness that words cannot explain. And when Len glanced at me across the garden, his eyes catching mine, his bright smile warming the night, I felt an invisible shiver travel down my spine, because now, behind that smile, I began to sense a shadow. That night, when the guests had left and silence covered the house, I lay beside him in bed. His breathing was steady, calm, peaceful, like the breathing of a man who had nothing to hide. But I could not close my eyes. The photographs would not leave me. Their faces were in my mind. Their eyes followed me. Their silence was screaming louder than noise. And one thought kept returning. What if my husband is not the man I thought he was? What if I have been living in a lie for 10 long years? The next days were strange. I noticed things I had never paid attention to before. His late nights at the office, his sudden trips that had no clear purpose, the way his eyes turned cold when I asked too many questions. I had always trusted him blindly, but now every detail looked different. Every excuse felt heavier. Every silence seemed filled with meaning. And whenever I remembered the photographs, my stomach tightened with fear, because the faces were not just strangers anymore. They looked like the women from the news, the ones who had gone missing, the ones whose families never found answers. One morning, Len said he was going to work, but something inside me told me to follow. My heart pounded as I drove a short distance behind him, careful not to be seen. He did not go to his office. Instead, he drove to the edge of the city, down a lonely road, and parked near an abandoned warehouse. I hid, my hands shaking on the wheel, my body pressed low, and then I saw him open the trunk of his car. Inside I saw a rope, a scarf, a small knife glinting under the weak light of day. My body froze, my breath caught, my hands covered my mouth to stop the scream from escaping. It was true, all of it. The man I married was hiding something darker than I could imagine. That night I could not eat, I could not speak, I only watched him, watched the way he smiled at the children, watched the way he kissed them good night, watched the way he sat in the living room with the calmness of a man who looked ordinary. But I knew. The photographs, the warehouse, the things I had seen with my own eyes, my heart was torn in two. Should I protect him? Should I stay silent? Should I risk my children growing up with a man like this? Or should I tell the truth and destroy my entire life? In the end, I went to the police, I carried the photographs, I carried my story, I told them everything. The arrest came quickly. Len's eyes burned into mine as they placed the cuff on his hands. He did not scream, he did not fight. He only looked at me with a cold smile and whispered, "You betrayed me." The trial revealed the truth. The missing women, the evidence, the lies, the jury spoke guilty. I sat there, numb, my world broken, my heart heavy. The man I thought I loved was a stranger, and not just a stranger. He was a monster. And the man I married was never the man I thought he was.